whenever you're ready.
Go ahead.
All right, we will call the meeting to order. Jen, would you take roll, please?
Commissioner Johnson?
Here.
Commissioner Corbin?
Here.
Commissioner Waldner?
Here.
Commissioner Thill?
Here.
And Mayor Lindsay.
Here. You have before you the agenda for this evening.
Make a motion we adopt the agenda for this evening.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Seeing no appearances or acknowledgments, is there anything anyone wants removed from the consent calendar? If not, do we have a motion?
So moved. Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Old business, 5:35. We're a little early on this and that, so should we move on down to number 2?
Sure.
And that the approve application for the sale of alcoholic beverages, temporary alcohol license, CJ Schaefer LLC, Sporty's Bar and Grill for January 13th, 2018, Yale Christmas party. Did you have? Would you like to step up there, Cam, and speak to it at all?
It's just their Christmas party, and how we're doing it is they will be buying tickets from a separate table, and those tickets will then be brought to us at the bar, and then afterwards, Gail will be reimbursing us for each ticket. So, and that's how we plan on doing it, is just ticket basis, so as long as we know and can keep account of everything, so.
And currently, do you have an alcohol license or just a beer and wine?
Alcohol license,
You do
liquor
have-
license, yep.
Okay. Okay, so this is just basically a formality then?
Correct. As per, if I may, as per SDCL 35-4-124, no public hearing is required for the issuance of a temporary license if the person applying for the license already holds an on-sale license, alcoholic license.
Okay.
So you've seen a little bit different procedure for most of these before. We acknowledge, we set a date of hearing, we have a hearing. Not necessary tonight for Cam because he is already an RL license holder.
Okay. So basically, we approve it and it's in the minutes.
Please.
All right.
I'll make a motion that we approve the application for sale of alcoholic beverages, temporary alcohol license, CJ Schaefer LLC, Sporty's Bar and Grill.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Thanks,
Awesome,
Cam.
thanks guys.
Thank you.
Yep.
Go.
And then I will note here that under announcements, and that we'll have a change of meeting date, December 26th instead of Monday, December 25th. So, and we are at 5:34, so with that, is there anyone here that wanted to speak on the hearing for the proposed resolution 2017-17, necessity for sidewalk improvement? Yes, sir, Mr. Jansen. Would you come up to the mic, please? And that way anyone that's listening to it at home and that would be able to hear you as well.
Okay.
Thank you.
Rick Jansen, 902 North Olive, Madison. I got the request from the city to put in a sidewalk on the west side of my property. I did put in the south side 2 years ago as required. However, I wish to request not to have to put mine in on the west side because the sidewalk will then run to 9th Street, and there will be no sidewalk between Olive Avenue and West Avenue to connect with other sidewalks on both the north side and the south side of 9th Street. If someone does walk up to that now using the sidewalk that is on the park, they come to the street and there's nowhere else to go because there's no sidewalk that runs west or east on 9th Street. Also, I feel that by taking out or putting in the sidewalk I am going to have to take out a growth of lilac bushes that have been there I've been at a place for about 40 years. And these lilac bushes were already matured when I moved in. So I'm saying they are at least been there 60 years. And to me, that just saddens me that I would have to take out those lilac bushes, which run approximately half of my north side of my lot there along Olive Avenue. They do make a natural fence to my backyard for privacy. And also in the spring, they are very lovely with their flowering. And over the years, I have let people who wish pick those flowers if they wanted to. I also have 3 trees from A Street to almost to the lilac bushes. And Chad was out there today with me, and at this point, we feel we don't have to take out those trees, but we may have to move the sidewalk to the west a few inches in order to do that. And he said he was fine with that. That's about all I can think of at the moment. But like I says, what I am doing is I am requesting that I not have to be able to put that in, because when it gets to Ninth Street, and they have, the people that walk, they have access on sidewalks all around that except for the length of Ninth Street and my little short piece there. Another thing too is that I am retired and I am on a very tight budget, and I still am feeling the effects of the sidewalk I put in 2 years ago.
Chad, would you like to add anything to this?
I can just give a very brief recap. Most of you are familiar with this sidewalk program. The sidewalk committee in the September timeframe had reviewed the town and made some recommendations to the city commission. Those are brought forth to you for just review, and then at that time you directed me to research the deeds and such and incorporate these into a resolution. We did a couple weeks ago. You acknowledged that and said this date of hearing. And that's why we're here today. The notices were sent out after you had the date of hearing to all the affected landowners. There's about 11 landowners this year. The resolution is included in the packet. Northeast 5th Street from Hearth to Washington Avenue was included. There's 2 landowners there. Northeast 6th Street from Hearth to Washington Avenue, there's 1 landowner there. And then in the areas within 2 blocks of the schools, the unfinished corner lots essentially are the remaining 8, and those are also listed in your resolution. This is the time where you hear any concerns brought by citizens and make any adjustments or not based upon those concerns. I did just provide you a map. I did also provide that to Mr. Jansen a few moments before that. That does show, among other things, his property and where his property is located right there on Olive Avenue. I hadn't had any other parties come and talk to me about this other than Mr. Jansen this afternoon.
Now, is that stretch of Olive there still gravel?
That is not gravel.
Yeah, Olive is paved, but
Olive is
8th
paved.
Street is still gravel.
Okay.
There's about a block and a half on 8th Street that is gravel.
Yes.
Yeah, going east-west.
There's no sidewalk being proposed to be put in along 9th Street, north of Mr. Jansen's property between Olive and West Avenue. And the main reason for that is because it's
Topography.
It's a ditch section, yeah, instead of a curb
Dips
and
off,
gutter section.
drops
yes.
off quite substantially there.
Yes, yes.
What about the north side of 9th Street. Is there any future proposal that you envision there? And the reason I'm asking is where you have the red circle, and that, would that be a crosswalk to cross over and then come toward the school for those who may come up Olive?
I think if at any time, when it becomes necessary for the road to be upgraded, we would look at potentially putting in a curb and gutter section in there. That'd be the most appropriate time to put in sidewalks there so you're not putting it in the bottom of a ditch, essentially.
Because currently on the north side, there's a ditch, and then there is the berm for the retention pond of the Williams addition.
I would say it's not a very high priority, or it's not something we're looking at right now. I think Mr. Jansen made a good valid point about any traffic that may be foot traffic traveling up Olive Avenue would easily be able to turn at 8th Street, walk on sidewalks along those city sidewalks, and then turn to the left or north and go towards that subdivision, the Williams Brothers subdivision, or continue and turn to go to the school grounds.
Questions or comments from anyone?
I'm just curious, why didn't we continue all the way on that?
From where to where?
All the way to 8th Street.
This is his property here. Where do you mean?
Well, there's just,
This is right here.
Yeah, this is his property right here.
Can,
This is the question.
Can we do that without you having to take out those lilac bushes?
No.
The lilac
You would
bushes
have
go
to-
east
They're
and
right-
west this way.
They're,
Right by
they're,
the road.
well, here's the curb, and they're set back about the width of a lawnmower,
Yeah,
21, 22-inch lawnmower,
one slot through that.
yeah.
And do they all run north and south, or does some of them go east-west?
No, they run north-south
North-south, okay.
from the north lot line to about halfway south on my property.
Okay.
There is, unless you might be thinking of those willow trees that run along the
They go east-west?
east-west along the property line there, but those, as far as I know, are my neighbor's responsibility.
Okay.
Because at one time, when Dwayne Clark owned that property, one of those willows fell onto my property and damaged one of my apple trees. And he had to come and remove that willow because it was on his property.
Okay.
So, and that's another thing too, because Chad and I looked at the sidewalk that runs from 9th down to my property line, that was poured short. It's not the full length of the lot. So the people, I believe there's still 2 ladies living there, will have to put in a section there too of their own. And again, Chad looked at that too.
If you would consider removing Mr. Jansen from the list, I would recommend you also remove those folks as well. They have about 10 feet or so to put in on their property as well. If you would choose to go proceed as it's presented here, the Public Works Department typically assists in removing trees and such like that if there's no other alternative. For example, like the lilacs, because it is true, most of those
Yeah.
lilacs would
Yes.
be
Yes.
taken out.
2 years ago, the city did come and take out the 3 trees that were blocking the way of the sidewalk on the south side of my property. And I appreciated that very, very much.
Well, and I guess, I'm looking here, we've got sidewalk completed from Olive on both sides of 8th here, which is gravel, over and then continuing again on over to where you could turn and go straight north to the elementary. I guess, I know the issue along 9th on both sides. I see where he has a valid request, and I guess I could support his request, because I think we've done something similar to this in other areas where we come to the end of town.
And there's no way to come on the other side of those lilacs.
No, it's
No,
actually.
because-
narrower.
For sure gonna have to
Because
go.
if I go on the east side of the lilacs, I got this really beautiful
Tree?
evergreen tree that,
Yep.
again,
Yep.
was full-grown when I moved in, and it's even fuller now.
Bigger now, yeah.
Now, I may, when we get the sidewalk in, I may have to trim the evergreen back a little bit, but I'm fine with that. And also with the 3 trees that are there, right now, I know that I would have to trim some limbs for overhang too, because they are lower than, I think, was it 10 feet? Is that the level that you need from the
10 feet,
sidewalk?
8 to 10 feet.
8 to 10 feet, so, and I'm perfectly willing to do that too.
Do you live at that property, Mr. Jansen?
Hmm?
Do you live at that property?
Yes and no. I have been going up to Corona because in 2013, my mom needed assistance with living. She passed away, and I now come back and forth as I need.
I guess with us having a couple accidents over the years up there,
On 9th Street.
yes, by the park, I would like to see some type of sidewalk down the future on the city property, because it is a hazard up there when you're driving against the sun to see a jogger running down the street. And I wouldn't want somebody to get hurt because the sun blinds them.
What section are you talking about?
He would be talking
From
from
Olive West.
going
Yeah.
west along the park out toward Highway 51.
Well, there is,
and
the city
that's-
does have a sidewalk on the park,
North and south.
Yeah.
Nothing
Yeah.
east and west.
nothing east and west.
And-
And they don't have, and we don't have anything from West Avenue to Olive either.
What we've kind of talked about in the past is, and I'll address the 9th Street going east and west is doing some sort of a multi-use path that goes through there,
Mhm.
have it be, instead of just normal sidewalk width, that it would be 6 to 8 feet, maybe 10 foot wide, and then it could be multi-use all the way through. I agree with you, Bob, that's a dangerous area with the sunshine. We've had a girl get hit by a school bus, that was quite a few years ago, but yeah, it's an area that's a concern. I run on that road myself, and I try to not do it during those sun shining times where I know that the drivers will be hindered, but
And I know this, the school also, when track season opens, there is a massive amount of track students, or students that are taking track, are using 9th Street.
yep, yep.
Also,
High school.
Which we would like to discourage, because it also
Yeah.
doesn't have enough width on the shoulder.
Right. Yeah, there is hardly any shoulder there. Because if you ever have to rebuild it, you're going to have to make it wider anyway in order to put curb and gutter in.
I have a question for Commissioner Corbin, you there?
Yeah.
You're on that committee. Is this something, can we postpone this to next year until we can gear up for it, or does it matter? We just, one way or the other tonight? What's your opinion of it?
You know, I was thinking I wouldn't mind putting this particular one committee to let them look at the merits of it. Either that, or I would just soon go forward project. I just rather not have the gas or sidewalk network. I mean, there's sidewalk north of this, and it's a bad deal that the Lilacs in the right away there, but
Part of my thinking is, we've kind of, I don't know if it's in the policy for sure, and I know we've discussed it where, we try not to hit the landowners 2 years in a row. And, this was only 2 years ago, he put in quite a little bit. Give him another year to kind of save up some monies for it. Might be a little bit nice way to do that. I don't know, I'm just asking the questions.
I think I'm
we can certainly do that. I guess he's kind of asking us to look at if we think it's necessary to have that sidewalk there. And
I would say, definitely there will be a sidewalk there eventually.
Yeah.
Whether it's this
I
year or
understand that,
Yep,
but-
this year or next year. But I think I wouldn't be opposed to giving him one more year, take a little pressure off of him for already paying for this other one on the south side. And but make sure that the committee, Mr. Corbin, that you're aware of that and put it on again for next year.
There'll be some
is the
additional.
property owner good at that?
Yes, but then I'll be back again next year when I get the letter.
And we'll probably be here.
Yeah.
So-
He's okay with it being postponed, but he
Because-
would probably be back requesting it not for next year as well.
I think, Rick, we all know Main Street's heavily trafficked, but and
Yeah.
it was always heavily trafficked, and now with the elementary school there, it's even more significant. So I think but I would like some time
Yeah.
to look at.
And like I said,
the course in the next
the-
year and think
And
about
like
it.
I said, the kids that do use this, they either take 7th Street and walk over and go, and those that live like up here in the apartments that are up there, low-income apartments, whatever, they usually come down, and if they do come down, then they do take 8th Street over. I've seen them. There's none that go out on 9th Street.
And if I were a parent that lived up there, I would encourage the kids to do that rather than go down and walk 9th Street because of the narrow shoulders in that area. So,
Well, I will make a motion that we postpone this particular parcel, which would also include the neighbors to the north as well, until next year, and somehow put a reminder for the sidewalk committee that it's on the to-do for next year. I'll give you some time to gear up
Thank
for
you.
it and take a little pressure off.
Thank you very
Second
much,
that.
Mike.
It's not I want to put the sidewalk committee that they don't perceive us as overturning their decision. We just want to take a look at this some more in the grand scheme of the whole. Unfinished roads there, 9th Street, those kind of things. So
and from a safety standpoint.
particularly from a safety standpoint, yeah.
Jen, did you get that motion in
I
second?
did. Is there a specific number and letter we can take off here for the minutes?
1 and 8.
C1, C8,
Okay.
please? Thank you.
And we do have some others, second sides, if you will, of corner lots that we'll be looking at in the 3-block radius of the schools next year. So we'll look at those, and then also Mr. Jansen's again. One distinguishing point, I think, for his is that there's not a neighbor on the opposite side or something, or anything like that, who may feel like they're aggrieved because Mr. Jansen doesn't have to put it in, and they do.
We happen to be the
It's the
neighbor
city.
on the other
Right.
side, it's the city.
And there has been examples last year at the north end of Washington Avenue, for example, where it took into account things such as this, dead ends and so on, and at the end of the line, and you made adjustments. So I don't believe it will be a problem with the sidewalk committee, particularly since it's just a 1-year delay.
It's a delay.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Okay, we have a motion to amend the necessity for sidewalk improvement 2018. And that, we have a motion and a second. All those,
I don't have a second. Is there a second?
yeah, Kelly did. Kelly did. And on this, I'm going to ask Jen to take a roll call vote. And this will be on the amended resolution 2017-17.
Can
Okay.
I ask, is this just to amend the resolution, then there'll be a subsequent vote to approve the amended resolution?
We can do it either way.
Can we approve the resolution just
I was
with the
just
change?
gonna make a motion to approve the resolution with these two
As amended.
removed.
Okay.
Okay, sounds fine. And Kelly, you're fine seconding that? Okay.
Motion second. All right.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Jen, would you do a roll call vote, please?
Commissioner Thor,
Aye.
Commissioner Waldner,
Aye.
Commissioner Corbin,
Aye.
Commissioner Johnson,
Aye.
Mayor Lindsay.
Aye. Okay. All right.
Thank
So
you for coming.
this will be
Thanks.
revisited again next
Yes,
year.
I understand
So,
that.
Okay.
Well, thank you very, very much.
And thank you for coming. Okay.
And it's a pleasure doing business with you when I can.
Very good, thank you. Okay, with that, I'll make a motion that we go into executive session.
Move, go into executive session.
Second?
Okay? All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Okay, motion carries. We are in executive session.